Hi, I'm David,
And I'm Gail.
and we're actually in suite number 4, actually it's a stateroom 4074 on the Queen Mary 2, and we're just at the end of our journey. But what we thought we'd do is we'd pass on some tips that we've learned as a result of taking this cruise, just so maybe you're better prepared if you do this journey yourself. And admittedly, it's been a lot of fun for two people who have never done a cruise before. We've actually enjoyed it quite a bit, I'd
Yes,
say.
yes, because I came as a skeptic. This was really very, very nice.
Yes. Anyways, let's get on with it. Why don't you start, Gail, with one of your tips?
Okay, these are in no particular order, and remember, there are subjective,
Yeah.
idiosyncratic tips.
Right.
Okay, so if you're given to seasickness, as am I, choose a lower placed cabin on the ship and one that is midship. Then you will be feeling less of the feel of the ship, of the ocean. If possible, have a window. I mean, this becomes kind of an economic issue. If you wanted a full view, for example, it's going to be more expensive than if you just have a window that doesn't open. But it would be lovely to have access to air, and we have some kind of compromise. It's a partly open. I have to tell you, I have not felt ill. So far, we're now on our last full day of the voyage. We've been told that this has been very steady, easy sailing, a little bit maybe of an exception, especially at this time of the year, which is late November. Yeah. I do wear sea bands, and I wear them whenever I travel, even on a train. And, you can always bring medication if you're able to use medication, just in case. I always carry a sick bag with me, and there are complimentary sick bags in the elevator lobbies.
Okay, good. And I'm going to talk maybe about something that probably most people are concerned about is how to dress on board, because there's all sorts of guidelines that are presented to you and you wonder how realistic are those. Anyways, what we think is this, they say smart attire for the daytime, and I think that we feel comfortable dressed the way we are walking around the boat during the daytime and actually in the evening as well. We certainly have seen during the daytime people walking around in shorts and t-shirts, and that's certainly possible during the daytime. In the evening, I think that's when it ups a bit. Certainly I can wear this in most places in the evening. However, if you're going to a nice dining room, for example, the Britannia Lounge or the Veranda restaurant here on board, then you might want to have that black jacket and a nice dress shirt. And if you're going to the, let's say, the black and white ball, which they have apparently on every cruise, then for that you're going to want to have all that stuff, plus some good dress pants. And also, I would say, good to have a bow tie with you. I know in my case, we boarded at Southampton, and the day before we boarded, we took a little stop at Marks and Spencer's and picked up an inexpensive clip-on bow tie, which did the trick for me as much as I needed anyways. But that's the good thing to have. Those are good things to have. Other than that, I think it's just bring enough that you have a variety and that you can fit different occasions. Certainly sometimes you're going to maybe want to dress up, so if possible, bring that jacket with you and the bow tie and the dress shirt.
And just to clarify, as a woman, I had separates. I had a couple of sweaters, such as this one, a couple of skirts, and a pair of black pants, which are very versatile. I also have a couple of blouses, so you can always cobble something up and have some variety. Also, in terms of footwear, because of our travel prior to this, didn't enable us to be bringing fancy shoes. So I've been just wearing a black pair of runners with black soles, so they kind of disappear. But you can imagine when I was wearing my rather elegant foo-foo skirt for the black and white ball, I was also with some sneakers at the same time.
Yeah. And ditto for me, actually. So I didn't have any fancy leather shoes at all. Just my sneakers that I had been hauling along for our entire 2-month journey across Italy, pretty much. Anyways, that's 2 tips now. What's next on your list, Gail?
Oh, bring an analog watch. So one of the elements, and it's kind of a gracious element of traveling by sea, is that you gradually go over what would be time zones. So almost every evening, but not quite every evening, the clocks go back 1 hour when you're traveling westward. So you have a 25-hour day is another way of looking at it. Now, your electronic device will not automatically change. It's not like a regulated time change, for example. And people have been having some difficulty with this if they have electronic devices. I've seen them at the purser's office and talking amongst themselves about having difficulty changing their watches. So it's always good to have a good old-fashioned watch, and they're awfully attractive too.
That's right, yes. We both wear them, as a matter of fact. We like our analog watches, perhaps reflecting our age, but who knows. Anyways, my next tip is that when you're booking your tour, your trip on the Queen Mary 2, and if you're doing it online on the Cunard website, you'll be number of times you'll be offered different kinds of packages, drink packages, for example.
Water packages.
Soft drink packages. And, I think if you're thinking of those, I really don't think, unless you're a heavy coffee drinker, you're really drinking a lot of wine and liquor, then probably I would say it's maybe best to avoid those packages. I mean, the drinks on board, as you're traveling around, are not unreasonable. They're not jacked up prices. For example, beers are normal beer prices. You get a cafe latte for a price that you would pay in any reasonably sized city. So they're not outrageous. So and the cost of the packages are extremely high. So I would say consider avoiding those, again, unless you really think you're going to be using especially the alcohol package to its fullest capability.
May I add, this whole idea of a water package is for bottled water, still or fizzy, sparkling. You can use tap water from your bathroom, and it's good, it's tasty, it's fine. But if you want anything other than that, in terms of water, you must pay.
And in terms of coffee, all you have to do is go to the King's Court buffet area, and they'll have a drink station there, and it's all free. So you can get your a regular coffee, you can get teas, there's juices,
unlimited,
4 different kinds of juices, and that's all available at no extra cost.
24 hours a day.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can get a drink there and then take it to a nearby lounge or a place where you're maybe more comfortable sitting and drink it there. You're not restricted to drinking those drinks right in the King's Court area. So just bear that in mind, I think, in the next year or two.
Yes. It's important to know that there is a lot of people here who are older. The access for mobility is excellent here. There are many decks, and there are elevators. There are ramps that go into the planetarium area or the cinema area, for example. There are bars everywhere for anyone, because stability can sometimes be an issue because of the waves. In any of the venues, there's room to accommodate wheelchair people. So I just thought that it's really good. Do not feel that this is something that might be tricky to navigate. It's not.
Okay, and I'm just going to talk a bit about another thing that you're offered when you're signing up for your trip on the Cunard website, are internet packages. And truthfully, we didn't get an internet package. You might like to think that you can say, I can survive 7 days without being in contact with anybody out there. It's probably this day and age is probably not that realistic. We did get away of our 7 days. I think we survived for 5 days without it, and then for the last 2 days we bought it. However, I would say that it's probably would have been more advantageous probably to take a look at the packages that before you actually get on board, you're usually offered a discount for a full package. So you might want to consider that. Now, the other thing to consider is it does add up fast. You're using, basically, it's called a Starlink system. I believe that's Elon Musk's system. So it's a satellite communication system, and you're paying for it for sure. If you do buy a package, just be aware that that package is for one device only. So if I have a device and Gail has a device, then you have to buy basically 2 packages. Now they do offer also a family packages, what they call family packages, that allow you to connect up to 4 devices, and the price just keeps escalating as you go along, so you have to figure that out. What I would suggest is if you're just considering buying them while you're still at home, click on the sort of the purchase links and just follow it through just to see what the offers are available and just see ultimately how much it's going to cost. Because when you look at the website, just the website itself, it tells you prices start at, let's say, $20 or $28 for this kind of service. So consider that, and go in a little bit further just to find out exactly what the prices are. And then if you don't like it, just back out before you actually click the buy button. Okay, that's good.
There are different restaurants and eating venues on the ship, cafes, bars, buffets, and they have different starting times and closing times. I would suggest that if you really want to go to the pub, you really want to do that, included in your cost, cream tea. You can go to any number of cream teas in the course of your voyage, and they're excellent.
Yeah.
Don't take that starting time at face value. It's kind of competitive on the ship, as much as this is a holiday kind of a thing. So if there's a starting time, I would suggest you arrive at the venue 15 minutes or so earlier, at least.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you can sit down and just wait. We were disappointed when we went at the exact time that a venue was opening. It was the pub. We thought, we'll have no problem getting in. It was full. It was full a minute after its opening time.
Yeah. Okay, another tip is that you're allowed to bring on board 1 bottle of, let's say, wine per person to consume yourself. Now, the trick here is if you take your wine and you go to a restaurant and ask them to open it for you. For example, we went to the Veranda restaurant. It was sort of our sort of a special meal that we paid extra for. We really enjoyed it. But we had a nice bottle of Chateauneuf de Pape, which is an expensive wine. You take it to the restaurant with you, and what they do is they charge a $25, this is all US dollars, $25 corkage fee for it, but it just allows you to have a high-class wine with at a minimal expense, I guess I'd say. So probably the higher quality wine you bring, the more advantageous it is in terms of having to pay for the corkage fees. Now, you can get wines that are as low as $32 a bottle for a house wine type of thing, but if you want something a little bit more special, which I think the Veranda restaurant deserved, then it's worthwhile. Now, the other thing you can do, and we're thinking of doing this tonight, is that they do offer free room service. Like we've had breakfast brought to us in the morning, and it's been quite nice on a couple of occasions. Now you can also get dinners, so what we're thinking of doing tonight is our last night is to order a dinner over the phone and have it delivered to us, and then we'll consume our second bottle of wine that we brought and avoid any corkage fees at all.
And David had mentioned the Veranda restaurant, which is a special restaurant. You pay extra for that privilege. Another thing we partook in was lunch and learn, and I heard that this is something that they do on every voyage. And David, would you like to just tell us a little bit about lunch and learn?
Well, to me it was my favorite part of the entire trip. I mean, probably worth paying the excessive amount of money you pay for the trip. So
it cost us $80 each US, I think it was.
And basically, whatever the cost, it was a good value. And what it did is, in our case, it was Burgundy wines. So it runs from north to south throughout the Burgundy region, starting up in Chablis and ending down, it does end in Beaujolais, but there's a lot of wines in between the Côte de Nuit wines, and you get a lot, and you get a really excellent lunch that is paired to all the different wines.
Be open to some of these things. It might sound exorbitant, but everything is done first class here.
Yeah, I forget. I think it's your turn now for another tip.
Yes, mine, and it's my last tip, and it's a pretty basic one. Maybe it's self-evident, but walk around the ship armed with your scarf, your hat, and your gloves. That full regalia would be if you have a desire to, maybe go on the deck and do a few laps. It's very pleasant, and it's a lovely experience to do that, especially when it's foggy. It's very atmospheric.
Yeah.
But I found that in different venues, for example, the planetarium in particular, where there have been many events for us. It's not just a planetarium space. It was drafty, and so this is a huge structure in this vessel, and so you have to realize that temperature control isn't always the same.
Another tip is don't tip. Like when you go to let's say you order a drink at one of the lounges or what have you, or you pay for the corkage, for example, something or pay for a dinner in one of their specialty restaurants, you'll get the bill. It all goes on your card, basically, that you have, the little Cunard card that everything gets charged to that. You'll also get something where you sign off for it, and it'll always have a little place where it says tip. You don't need a tip because tips are going to be added onto your final bill that is charged to your credit card at the end. So you're going to be paying for the tip at the end. So you really don't need to consider tipping as you go along. That's our interpretation of it right now. So I think that's correct. So just bear that in mind.
May I add just a bit? Apparently, there's a certain amount per day per person that will be placed on our final bill. And I think what you have to really appreciate is that there are hundreds and hundreds of people who are looking after us, the people we're in contact with, but also the people that we don't see who make this a lovely experience.
And I guess one final tip, is my tip, and that's
I'm finished.
Yeah, you're finished.
I'm finished.
Yeah, one more for me, and that's that when you're booking your trip, you're given choices in terms of your daily dining options. Your dining room basically is the Britannia dining room, and it's fairly large, old world style of
kind of Art Deco.
Kind of interior. It's quite nice. It's quite nice on the inside. You're given the choice of either having open seating or open dining, or being assigned an actual table at a certain time, and we did that. We opted for 8:30 at night, and for a table for two. I think that was a mistake, really. I think I would have probably opted for open dining, where you just reserve as you go every night in the Britannia room. The reason being is that in the evening there's all sorts of different events that happen, shows that happen, and you might want to weave your dining in between those kinds of events, and having open dining allows you to do that. And it was kind of nice being in the same place all the time, because we certainly did have nice people that are around us, so we enjoyed that aspect of it. But open dining just gives you a little bit more flexibility, and I guess you'll meet more people too as a result of that. Now, the other thing is, we found that the dining in the Britannia was nice in terms of meeting people, but overall we found that actually the food quality is great everywhere, but the food quality in the King's Court buffet is actually really quite good, and just offers you greater flexibility to start with. And there's lots of seating options that you can take your food to a lounge, for example, nearby lounge, and eat it there. So in the end, I think we only were in the Britannia about twice for our entire trip.
Now, if you did choose a particular time, as we did, there's no penalty for not going and instead going to the veranda or some other place.
Right.
And just with respect to the buffet, sometimes we might consider buffets maybe second-rate food, or food that isn't hot or whatever. There is unlimited selection. Whatever you enjoy as food will no doubt be there, and again, top notch,
very high quality,
like anything else on this ship.
And it does change daily, so it's not the same offering every day. You'll get different main courses,
but it will be of a type. If you like Japanese food, there'll be Japanese food there. There's Italian, all sorts of things.
English fare. especially
fish,
yeah.
whatever.
Anyway, so I think that's it, and hope that helps you maybe making some of the decisions in what you buy in terms of your packages and what you maybe wear and how you enjoy your time on board, and makes you more comfortable with it.
Or just piques your interest in maybe trying this,
yeah.
just as we've tried it for a first time
Yeah.
too.
So if you have any, if you've been on this trip, and or if you have any comments, please leave them in the comments below. We'd be really like to hear it, and by all means, if you really enjoyed this, do subscribe. We got lots of adventures coming up, and we certainly want to bring you along with us. Bye bye.
Take care.